traditionally the time where we talk about the temptation of Jesus. As we enter the 40 days of Lent, we consider the 40 days that Jesus spent in the wilderness. And one of the things I want to make sure that we understand each and every year as we come into the season of Lent is that when Jesus was tempted after the 40 days, he had to be really tempted, or the story falls apart and the whole season truly loses its significance. There has been for 2,000 years almost the notion of Jesus being God. And therefore, if Jesus was God and the devil came to him and said, you're going to do this, pray before me, kneel before me, come and get the power from me and all of that. Well, if Jesus is God, then you know he's not going to do it because he's God and God couldn't do it by definition. Right? So who cares then about the temptation story? Because it holds absolutely nothing relevant for me in my life. Because there have been times in my life when I have approached, but I have never become completely God. With judgment and wrath and thunder. No, it just does. It doesn't mean anything to us whatsoever. So for me, in order for this story to be able to touch me at all, then I have to believe that Jesus was just like me. That he had the choices placed in front of him. Now this story follows the Transfiguration, where Jesus met with Elijah and Moses and got the whole skinny on what was going to be happening to him. So he knew what was going to be involved for the remainder of his very short life that was left to him. So now he's with the devil, and the devil's saying, hey, you know what? You don't have to go through any of that stuff. Nothing. Cross, pain, suffering, spit on, scourge, whip, forget it. Have I got a deal for you today and today only? If you bow down to me, I will give you everything that you want. Including the power to do good. Because you will have control over the whole world. Just think what you'll be able to do. You'll be able to dictate how people live. To control their lives and their choices so that rude people like Beth Norris don't ruin the sermon. You can fix all that, Jesus. And Jesus, he's got to think about that. You know what? Not such a bad idea after all. I'm not really hip on this whole getting crucified thing, because growing up where he did, crucifixion would have been a way of life. The roads were strewn with crosses, and individuals left up on the cross to literally fall apart and deteriorate as people were watching. That's what crucifixion was all about. It was the lesson, don't mess with the Romans. So Jesus knew what this meant. And he didn't want to do that. And I know that because I sure wouldn't want to do that. So now he has this choice, this very possible and good sounding choice delivered to him by Satan. All the good in the world that God's going to let you do, I'm going to let you do also without having to go through everything. Without the pain, without the suffering. Who loves you? Obviously, I do and not God, because God's plan means you've got to go through all this pain. Mine is all you have to do. All you have to do is kneel down and just say, praise be to Satan. That's all you got to do. 3 words. 4 words. Sorry, praise be to Satan. That's it. 4 words is a whole lot easier than being nailed on the cross and whipped and scourged. Now, keep in mind that this is all happening after he's been 40 days and 40 nights without food and water. Quite frankly, I would be open to temptation after 40 minutes of no food and no water. So I can't even imagine 40 days. And Jesus hears all this and he says, you know, I kind of like the idea. And quite frankly, I can see, in my mind's eye, as I picture the scene, I can see Jesus, starting to raise up the cloak he was wearing a little bit, and, starting to get down there. This is a good deal, folks. This is a great deal. Then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, we don't know, but Jesus is filled overflowing with God's Holy Spirit. And he says, no, I'm not going to do it. I am not going to take the easy way out. I'm going to go the way God has called me to go. And I'm going to live the way God has called me to live. And I'm going to serve the way God has called me to serve. No matter what might be ahead for me. Think about that. What he gave up. What he took upon himself. And his willingness to live it. And if he really wasn't tempted, if he really wasn't going over to that side, really drawn to the possibility, the story is pointless for me. Now, my personal feeling is I think that over the millennia, that the story has taken on the tenor that it does for most individuals in Christianity, because it makes it a whole lot easier for us. Jesus was tempted. Jesus was God. Therefore, there was no way it wasn't going to happen. I don't ever have to worry about anything like that because I'm not God, so it's a nice story. Let's move on to week 2. But if you look at it the way I present it, all of a sudden, we don't have that excuse anymore. Now, Jesus faced the temptation of everything terrible and unbelievably awful that was going to happen to him being taken away. And yet he still accepted the path that lay before him. Because he knew that even doing what would seem to be good and positive and loving in the name of Satan, by definition, made it evil. And by going through, no matter how terrible and awful things might be in the name of God, made them wondrous and full of love. A couple of weeks ago, I was watching a movie on TV. One of the greatest movies I can't believe it's not listed in the top 100 of all time. The name of the movie is The Green Lantern. And it's about this comic book hero that has this ring that he can charge up and have all these superpowers to do things. And everybody know the Green Lantern? Anybody not know the Green Lantern? If not, you've led a very sheltered childhood, and I will make sure you know all about it. Anyway, in the movie, in the story, they're fighting this terrible, terrible evil. See, the Green Lantern's power all comes from the good that's done throughout all of the universe. That's the power that drives his ring. Goodness. Now, all of a sudden, they were fighting this unbelievable evil and villain that was going to attack and destroy the earth. And you know where his power came from. From hate and fear and evil. So, Green Lantern, now, it's not just Green Lantern protecting Earth. There's Green Lanterns all over the universe. So there's thousands, millions of Green Lanterns. And the Green Lantern that's in charge is seeing that the bad people are winning. So he goes to the people that put together the power of all good that creates the ring. He said, no, we've got to fight fire with fire. We've got to harness evil and hate and fear if we're going to fight it. And of course the aliens, because they're aliens and they're not human, and importantly, they're not Americans, they say, okay, that's what we're going to do because we're going to fight evil with evil and of course the Green Lantern from the United States, from Earth, he goes to the planet and he says, no, you can't do that. If you do that, you're going to be no better than they are, and the world's going to just completely fall into evil, even though you think you're going to use that evil for good. That can never be. Because in the end, if you let the evil in, that's what's going to take over the world. And then, of course, our Green Lantern goes by himself to fight this cosmic evil that nobody else in the world, thousands of Green Lanterns tried to fight him and couldn't do it, but of course, ours was from America. So he won and destroyed the cosmic evil, strictly using the power of his ring, which was the power of good and love and kindness. Now the problem for me is each and every season in Lent, I'm going to have to watch two movies. The Ten Commandments and the Green Lantern. But that's what Jesus was looking at. And just like the lanterns out in the universe, Jesus had to think, okay, evil is out there, but if I can get the power of Satan, the power of wrong, the power of darkness, and use it for good, then that would be a good thing. And just like all the lanterns in the universe, Jesus felt that temptation. But just like the hero in the Green Lantern story, in Star Wars, in Tolkien's trilogy, in Scripture, old and new, the hero of the story, the good guy, the good girl, they realize at the end that no matter how tempting it might be to harness the power of evil, that they can be the one that can control it. They realize that in fact that is not the case. And as close as they get to bending their knee to offer their pledge of allegiance or their prayer or their praise to that which symbolizes evil, they stand up. And despite the trials and tribulation that lie before them, they say, no, I will stand for good. I will stand for that which is right. I will protect the meek. I will be a peacemaker. I will follow the path that God laid before me. Now, the trouble is, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, is now we have no excuse. We can't say that, oh, I followed that temptation because that's just human nature. Because on this day, with this story, we are told with complete certainty what human nature is. The nature to which we were created, which we were formed. Not in the image of Eve, but in the image of God. To do God's bidding and to be God's presence in the world. Jesus got it. And then was able to go forth and live through what he did and suffer what he did. And yet to achieve what he did. The power lies within each and every one of us. Each and every one of us. To resist the temptation. To follow the path of righteousness and peace and compassion. The ways of God. Jesus made his choice.